Restlessness and distraction. The many ways we run. Most of us do not need anyone to explain distraction. We live in it. The mind jumps from a memory to a headline to a message to a plan, then back again before the kettle has even boiled. We try to read a page and discover we have read the same paragraph 3 times without tasting a single sentence. We go to make tea and end up organizing a drawer we did not mean to touch. Our bodies are in one place, but the mind is already 2 rooms or 2 years away. Thích Nhất Hạnh calls this dispersal of attention a kind of forgetfulness. We forget the present moment, and in doing so, we forget our actual life. He says in The Miracle of Mindfulness that when the body and mind are split, we are not truly alive, even though we are moving quickly. He loves plain metaphors because they are true. The mind is like a monkey swinging from branch to branch, never resting long enough to see the sky. At other times, he compares our habit energy to a horse that has taken the bit and run off. We find ourselves galloping without knowing who is riding whom. In Peace is Every Step, he describes this running as the central tragedy of modern life. We run from morning to night, and even when we lie down to sleep, the running continues in the form of rehearsed conversations and unfinished arguments. The most honest question we can ask, he suggests, is very simple. Where am I now? If the answer is not here, then we have discovered the one obstacle that makes all others possible. Restlessness is not just a feeling in the skin, it is a strategy. We move away from the ache of loneliness by filling the day with noise. We move away from uncertainty by collecting more information than we can use. We move away from fear by imagining every possible future until the body is exhausted. He has great compassion for this because he knows the running began as an attempt to care for ourselves, but the medicine becomes the sickness. In trying to outrun discomfort, we outrun our capacity for joy as well. Distraction blunts pain a little, it blunts wonder much more. This is why he insists that mindfulness begins with reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. If restlessness is present, that is where we practice. If the mind is scattered, that is where we begin. He cautions against turning meditation into another arena where we try to win. The goal is not to become a person who never wanders. The goal is to become a person who knows how to come home. The miracle is not to hold the mind perfectly still, but to notice that it has drifted and to return with kindness. Each return is a small resurrection. It proves that you are not your distraction. You are the one who can see distraction and choose to come back. How to stop without fighting. The first movement is the simplest and the hardest, stop. In Buddhist language, this is shamatha, the calming or stopping that is the beginning of all meditation. Thích Nhất Hạnh turns an old saying around to show its medicine. Don't just do something, sit there. He explains in The Miracle of Mindfulness that stopping is not passivity, it is intelligent action. When we stop, even for a breath or two, the scattered energy of the mind settles. A lamp without a shade throws light everywhere, but reveals nothing clearly. Stopping is the shade on the lamp. Attention becomes usable again. You do not need a special room or a perfect ritual to stop. You need a breath that you feel from the inside. He teaches a sentence that works like a small hand on the shoulder. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Calm and smile are not commands. They are directions the body can gently follow. As the in-breath arrives, you feel its coolness in the nose, the widening of the ribs, the slight lift in the chest. As the out-breath leaves, you allow the shoulders to drop a few millimeters and let a soft curve appear at the corners of the mouth. This is a cue to the nervous system that the emergency for the next 10 seconds is over. What then of the thoughts that crowd the door the moment you sit down? He counsels friendliness. Do not fight your mind, greet it. When a flurry of ideas or worries appears, recognize them the way you would recognize a neighbor in the street. Hello, thinking. When agitation climbs, name it gently. Hello, restlessness. In anger, he describes this as holding a crying child. You do not scold a crying child for crying. You hold them until the storm passes. In exactly this way, your kind awareness cradles the restless energy until it settles of its own accord. Stopping is helped by insight. If you believe stopping will make you fall behind, the body will not cooperate. Thích Nhất Hạnh invites a different understanding in the art of living. The moment you stop, peace and happiness are already possible, even if conditions are not perfect. When you stop, you see the one action that truly matters next. When you don't stop, you do 10 things poorly. A short pause before a difficult call can save hours of repair. A single conscious breath before sending a message can keep a relationship intact. Stopping is not a luxury added to life. It is what allows life to be lived on purpose. He also emphasizes that stopping is not a one-time event. It is a cadence. You stop for 1 breath when the elevator door closes. You stop for 3 breaths when the phone rings. You stop for 1 minute in the car before you carry the day into your home. This rhythm of micropauses trains the body to trust that rest is available. The trust itself is calming. The mind wanders less when it no longer believes it is on its own. Training, attention, breath, counting, and bells. Attention is a muscle. It strengthens with wise use. Thích Nhất Hạnh offers simple, concrete practices to gather the mind and teach it to stay. The first is mindful breathing. He calls the breath a bridge between body and mind. In How to Sit and many talks, he suggests beginning just where you are, without trying to change the breath at all. Let the breath breathe itself and make it your whole world for a few moments. When the mind wanders, as it will, notice the wandering and come back to the sensation of air entering and leaving. This is the core of training, not perfect focus, but 1,000 kind returns. For those times when the mind is especially busy, he suggests counting as a light structure. Inhale and silently say 1. Exhale and say 1. Up to 10, then start again. If you lose the count, begin at 1 without self-criticism. The counting gives the mind something honest to do, like handing a child a pencil and paper during a long wait. Over time, the numbers become less important than the steadiness they invite. When you feel ready, you can lay counting aside and simply feel the breath again, now a little wider and calmer. Another tool is the use of short verses, gathas, that link attention to action. Thích Nhất Hạnh often teaches the simple phrase, present moment, wonderful moment. You can silently recite it to yourself while washing your hands, turning a doorknob, or pouring tea. The words are not magic, they are reminders. The present moment is the only place life ever happens, and there is always something in it that can be met with appreciation. Repeating the phrase does not require you to pretend everything is ideal. It asks only that you notice what is actually here. He is especially fond of bells of mindfulness. A bell can be literal, but it can also be any recurring sound or sight that you decide will call you home. The ring of a phone, the chime of a clock, a bird singing in a nearby tree, all can be bells. In Peace is Every Step, he describes how, when a bell sounds, the community in Plum Village stops and takes 3 conscious breaths. You can build your own version of this wherever you are. Choose one cue in your environment and make an agreement with yourself that it means pause. The first breath is to come back to your body. The second is to release tension. The third is to smile. Then continue your day, a little steadier than before. There is also the practice of choosing a wholesome channel. In consciousness, he says there are many channels: anxiety, resentment, desire. but also gratitude, patience, and joy. You cannot switch off all channels at once, but you can choose which to strengthen. When you feel the mind drifting toward a storm, you can direct it toward a shelter. The feel of the breath, the sight of a leaf moving in light wind, the memory of a kind word someone offered that morning. This is not denial, it is nourishment. Feed the seeds you wish to grow. Starving the weeds is not nearly as effective as watering the garden. Caring for restless energies. If restlessness were only about attention, a few breaths would fix everything, but restlessness is also emotional weather. Anxiety, irritation, sadness, and unmet longing all stir the mind. Thich Nhat Hanh's answer is not to drive these visitors out, but to welcome them wisely. He teaches that when strong emotions arise, we begin with acknowledgement. Hello, my fear. I know you are there. Naming the feeling is like turning on a light in a dark room. The monsters become furniture. Then we breathe and place a hand, physically if we can, on the part of the body that is shouting. The hand and the breath say together, I will take good care of you. This is tender work, and it is different from indulging emotion. Indulgence means letting the story of the emotion run without end. Care means feeling the body's sense of the emotion while allowing the story to quiet. The breath is crucial here. In How to Relax, he suggests an image. Your awareness is a mother, and your emotion is a crying baby. You do not argue with the baby. You hold the baby until the crying eases. When it eases, you can look more deeply into the causes. Perhaps you are tired. Perhaps a wrong perception has been masquerading as truth. Perhaps you need to set a boundary or ask for help. Insight arrives after the storm, not during it. He also warns about the radio of nonstop thinking. When radio nonstop thinking is loud, you cannot hear your life. The cure is not to smash the radio. It is to turn the volume down by shifting your attention into the body. Feel the soles of your feet. Feel the weight of your hands. Feel the rise and fall of the belly. The body exists in this moment. The mind often lives elsewhere. Each time you come into the body, the mind's storms lose a little power. Over time, the body becomes a trusted refuge you can enter quickly, even in the middle of a conversation. Habit energy is stubborn. He uses this phrase for the internal momentum that rushes us into the same tired patterns. Habit energy makes us pick up the phone without thinking, open a browser we did not mean to open, say the sharp sentence we know we will regret. He encourages us to spot this energy early and greet it too. Hello, habit energy. I see you. Recognition is already partial freedom. You cannot change what you cannot see. Once seen, habit energy loses some of its spell, and you are more likely to choose a wiser action. Set the phone down, breathe, walk once around the room before you answer. These small choices build a different path through the day. Right thinking is another support. He defines it as the kind of thinking that leads to understanding, compassion, and freedom. This is very different from the churning thought that makes us more afraid. Right thinking is measured, reality-based, and often brief. It checks perceptions. Am I sure? It builds bridges. What did they actually say? It asks useful questions. What one action would help now? And sometimes, right thinking is no thinking at all. He points out that store consciousness, the deeper layers of mind, continue processing in silence. When you stop pushing for an answer, the right sentence may rise of its own accord, the way a bubble rises in still water. Returning to freedom. Everything in this chapter circles back to a simple promise: you can come home. The restless mind is not an enemy to conquer. It is a creature to befriend and guide. Thich Nhat Hanh says again and again that freedom is not in the future. Freedom is the capacity in this breath to come back to the present and to touch life as it is. When you do that, you reclaim your day from 1,000 small thieves. You reclaim the taste of your food and the sound of the wind and the comfort of your own breath. You also reclaim your choices. A person who can pause can choose. Freedom grows with companionship. He reminds us that practice ripens best in community, even if that community is only 2 people. Walk with a friend and agree to take 3 conscious breaths before a hard topic. Begin a meeting with 20 seconds of quiet arrival. Eat 1 meal a week without screens and taste it all the way through. These are not rules. They are friendly agreements that help everyone return. Your steadiness will steady others, and their steadiness will steady you. There will be days when the mind feels like a flock of sparrows startled out of a tree. On those days, reduce your ambition. Do one small thing with real attention. Drink a glass of water as if it were your task for the afternoon. Feel the coolness, the weight in the hand, the throat receiving. Or take 10 steps outside and let each step be an arrival. If sorrow is present, sit with it and breathe until the sharpest edges soften. If joy is present, let yourself feel it fully without clutching. Both are part of the weather, neither is the whole sky. He says, in peace is every step, that the present moment is our true home. Home is not a fantasy of control. It is a place where you are allowed to be. Restlessness and distraction will visit your home, that is certain. But if you meet them at the door with a steady breath and a kind gaze, they do not have to rule your house. You can offer them tea and listen for a time. You can learn what they came to tell you, that something in you is tired or frightened or in need of meaning. Then, when their message is heard, you can let them go. The methods are simple because reality is simple. Stop for a breath. Feel your body. Count if it helps. Use Agatha to rejoin the moment. Let bells call you back. Name your feelings and hold them with care. Question your certainty with a gentle, "Are you sure?" Choose a wholesome channel and water it. When habit energy surges, recognize it and step aside. When you fail, begin again the moment you notice. No act is too small to matter. No return is wasted. If you need one sentence to carry out of this chapter, let it be this: you have the right and the ability to return to the present moment as many times as it takes. Thich Nhat Hanh's life and books, The Miracle of Mindfulness, Peace, Is Every Step, How to Sit, How to Relax, are all different doors to that same home. Open the door that is nearest. Walk in, put down what you can. Breathe as if you belonged in your own life, because you do. Then, from that quiet center, take the next kind step.